Much better. Come back. Oi. Okay, I've got our t-shirt here on 10, so I kind of want you to see how it sort of changed a little bit in the middle of the 9, and then obviously got it back, which is good. So set up pretty good here. Tall enough, distance from the ball okay, knee flex good. And the balance, and particularly the footwork through the golf ball. Okay, very nice. All right. Okay, and then, I mean, obviously you had a nice tee-shot there in 10, and then a sort of block second shot. But this is a whole later, this is 10 minutes later. Okay, now look how different. We've got a lot more knee flex all of a sudden there in the setup, but then look at the balance all of a sudden. Okay, all of a sudden we're leaning back, fall away from that one, and obviously we miss it that a little bit out the toe. Okay. So we just want to kind of get a little more consistent, a little more balanced. Okay, and then we can trust our angles from there. Okay, and then this is the movement that I'm talking about, sort of from the side on angle. Okay, so we can see where the head is there. So I just moved the camera as he took it away. Okay, so head position there. So it's just a lot of movement behind the golf ball. Okay, now with a driver, that's absolutely fine. We can hit it on the way up, but with an iron, we can't do that because we can never move enough to get our chest consistently back on top of the golf ball, or over the golf ball as we hit it. Okay, so then you're just hanging way back. I mean, it's actually really good positions, but because of that sort of shift, or it's not really a sway, it's just an over shift back. Okay, then we hit behind the golf ball all the time with the irons, and then obviously from there the balance becomes an issue as you're leaning back. Hey bud, thanks for the quick round. Really fun. Good to see you on the course for the first time. I must say the improvements in the body movement and the ball striking, absolutely fantastic. And I do think you handle yourself really well out there. Okay, you're actually quite composed. You're very good at what you're trying to do, what you're trying to execute. The way you sort of play the game, very good. Obviously, that's the first time I'm seeing it, so I was quite impressed by that. Okay, so let's just start swing-wise. Now, obviously, a couple of miss-hits early on, and then I spoke to him. You can see in those videos, there's just a little bit too much movement. Got the right idea of what we're trying to do, but a little bit too much movement. Okay, from there, we are generally standing a little too far from the ball with a little bit of knee flex. So just get out of those knees a little more, sort of on top of the golf ball, so that that circle gets that little bit more online. Okay, and then we have to start figuring out full swing wise our angles. Okay, you weren't aiming right. Okay, I'm really glad you didn't miss anything left. Really glad about that. Okay, but you were not aiming right. Okay, you were slightly pushing it. Right, you're swinging on a very slight in to out path. Okay, we're not getting that club back around to the back of the ball and continuing or completing the circle to the left. Okay, still staying a little bit into out, and we've got this little block going. Alright, so alignment's great. Okay, now to get the ball on line, we're going to rotate a little bit more aggressively with the body around the left leg. Okay, and continue the circle to the left of the target. Okay, so it's going to go there, not there. Okay, but very good. Okay, from there, right now, obviously, you're kind of figure out how to trust those angles, that it's not going to hook. I know it's not easy at first, okay, but I think you're starting to feel and understand it. Okay, from there, that's part of the journey. It's not huge, it's just a little bit of practice, feel, confidence. Okay, but from there, you're striking the ball great and you're all around the green in regulation, and then it's a little bit of a shit show, right? You said that your putting is normally better. You putt the ball well. So I don't know what it was today, but maybe generally speaking, your green reading is better than that. I'm not entirely convinced, but let's keep a track on it. Okay, so let's not overdo it just yet. I just want to plant a couple of ideas with your putting, just to help you generally figure out a little bit of break, but otherwise we'll leave it and just track it for a month and see what our putting stats are like. Okay, but the short game needs a overall. Okay, basically I don't think you're quite certain between pitching and chipping anyway, the different techniques and when to use each shot. And then the actual technique of it is out anyway. So the chipping is our little shot, knee height, sometimes waist height, just pop it on the green, let it run. So obviously we're sort of close to the green, we've got no trouble to carry or anything like that. Very, very safe shot. And for that shot, we need a very narrow stance, we need the angle forward. Okay, we need no release. So no release of the right hand. So we just kind of turn our chest through and we hold that right hand and we just gently bounce the club or flick the club out of the ball. There's no lifting motion, there's no releasing motion, there's no acceleration. Okay, it's just smooth. Hold off the right hand, gently bounce the club. Very calm, very safe, very reliable. Okay, so we need to develop that. Right? From there, pitching, when we need to flight the ball a little bit, carry a bunker, carry some rough, land it on the green, or carry an upslope. Okay, we do need to release the club in order to create that speed and that height. Okay, but we can't release it from here. So you tend to lean back away from the ball, okay, and then release this handle very, very early. Okay, so you're going to hit that thing on top and thin like 80% of the time. Okay, and then one time, obviously you got a much better lie, but the one time you managed to get them and fit the club under the ball, okay, you didn't hit hard enough, obviously, because you're scared to hit it, because normally you thin it and the ball's rocketing over the green. Okay, so we've got to think of that pitch really as a kind of mini swing. Okay, very narrow stance, right? Very, very narrow stance. Well, very narrow for you. Very narrow stance, ball in the middle. Okay, just a mini swing. Okay, we're going to look at L to L for now. So we're going to make a sort of a little L shape over here. Okay, bounce the club, little L shape over there. And basically we've got to learn how to get the handle in front of the club head and then gently release the right hand. Okay, so handle in front, gently release. Okay, handle in front, gently release. Okay, we're going to practice that over and over and over. Okay, then you'll figure out the sort of touch in terms of what your own tempo is. So we'll obviously have a shorter one, sort of medium one, you'll figure it all out. But as long as you learn to strike the ball correctly, just a gentle body rotation, handle leads the club head, release the right hand through the ball. No lifting, scooping motion, no leaning back. Never let the club pass the handle before impact. Never, ever, ever. Club leads, and then we release the right hand. Okay, so we've got to reboot that as quickly as possible, get a bit of confidence. You could have easily turned a lot of those holes into bogeys instead of doubles or triples. Okay, and then obviously the couple of pars then would have obviously given you confidence, but made you feel good that you're shooting a good score. Okay, right, so that's where we're at. Thanks again. A lot of good work for only two sessions. I'm really happy, really impressed so far. But we keep pushing. Okay, thanks again, mate.